for people like us, we live in the Pacific Northwest, we don't have air conditioner. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
people, there are a lot of people in the world, they cannot afford air conditioner. Like,
Oh yeah.
what are we going to do? Like,
Yeah.
as
Well, and if you think about California, California's, energy grid has to turn off during the
that's
summer
so
because too
true.
many people are using air conditioning. So when there's extreme heat, then they have to, ration it
Yeah,
to energy for people. And that's not a third world situation. That's like lots of people in California all the time.
definitely. That's
So other places will start to experience that more and more. And I should actually say, like right now at this point in Florida, Florida has to really support the home insurance market, in areas that will be flooded, right? Because it's hard to get a kind of an unsubsidized insurance policy in that space, right? If the home is going to be at likelihood to flood so often. California, had to pass a law this year that said, hey, homeowners insurance people, you cannot cancel someone's homeowners insurance until, for fire risk until January 2020,
mm,
or excuse me, 2021. So, that'll come up, and then can, California homeowners in these areas get homeowners insurance. And that's an abrupt way to find out about climate risk, is like, suddenly I can't get my home insured, as opposed to, we should be having this conversation as normal people. And
yeah.
that's what I'm trying to do, right? Is the
Yeah.
normal person conversation about climate change.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
really important. Like, let's see some. I see other folks posting questions. So Leslie says, are there risk rating available to individuals, for example, home buyers?
Mhm. Yeah, so that's the product that Climate Check is building. So if you go to climatecheck.com and you type in your address, that's the user interface, the product side of it. You can kind of think of me as so Zillow actually used this model as well. This is like the Zillow playbook, early days. You don't do advertising. You just take this incredible asset that you have, which is data that people want to know about, and you do market level or community level research on that data in order to, get attention from media, right? So it's a public relations and media play as opposed to advertising. Instead of buying your attention, I am earning your attention with showing you my data. And in that way, I build trust and credibility. And so that's my role at Climate Check. Well, except it's a startup. So my role is like all sorts of things. But that was my role at Zillow, and kind of the skill set that I'm bringing to Climate Check. And then hopefully also making Climate Check's products better and more actionable, right? So it's not just for those that need it, right? So maybe someone who's a bit more professional, instead of a score, of 1 to 100, you get, a likelihood of property damage, of totaling 5% of your home, in this case, that case, something a little bit more detailed to those that are more financially literate who want that information.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be super useful. Like, I'm also trying to think about buying a home. Like, I go to the Bellevue. I mean Bellevue right now. Like the city map, it says have this flood, like earthquake and like droughts, wildfires.
Oh yeah.
And with climate change, maybe the floods, the possibility of getting flood in some certain neighborhood will increase. I feel
Yeah.
definitely very
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. The Pacific Northwest is pretty lucky, except for the storm. But
yeah, let's see how long that can last.
yeah, Florida is very challenged. Louisiana is going to really struggle.
Oh,
I don't know that Arizona is going to struggle. Like, people already love to live in that heat. I have family in there, and they just tell us, they're like, oh yeah, it's another, oh, we hit 118 today. And you're just like, why are you not like upset?
yeah,
like living your life. Okay.
Yeah, let's see.
People have different preferences, I think, is another kind of lens, like how we handle this problem. We need a lot of major change, but I don't think we can expect people to suddenly become different people. And they're very different people, and they like to live in different areas of the country for different reasons. And so how can you work within that, I think, is also another way to think about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So we see Amanda says a point that struck out for me was considering the extreme heat and not necessarily seeing normally hot places get hotter, but seeing the rising hot days during a Seattle summer and the infrastructure that isn't in place for this. Yeah, that's like very good. Yeah, point.
Yeah, here, and I'll even hover over that, the one for Seattle, so you can see those numbers. I don't know. You can also kind of look up your own property in Seattle, and I think you'll see similar numbers because ours is, population weighted. And if you're in, the more dense areas, it should kind of reflect that. But we can go back to the command center and I'll hover over King County. So in King County, we're so wimpy up in King County, right? An extreme heat day up here. It's just 81 degrees. We're lame. I feel it when it gets 85, like I feel like it's very hot. When I visit my mother-in-law in Orange County, I don't like it down there. It's too hot. It's, California is beautiful, but it's too warm. So currently we would expect 15 days over 81 degrees. Due to climate change and the rise in extreme heat, these models predict 20 days. So that's air conditioning territory,
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Stop
we see
right
like yeah, we see we see like Tia also commented, I'm reading a book by one of my favorite authors, Barbara Kingsolver.
Oh yeah.
Fight Behavior, which is an interesting novel exploring a fictional example of climate change impact in Southern town and societal differences between the conservatives and liberals. I found thought-provoking. Oh, nice! I need to add that to my reading list.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Actually, so can I lay on a little bit more kind of points?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's this great paper by Asaf Bernstein, and I kind of think about it and use it a lot in the context of why you have to provide information like this and how should we be providing it. So he did this research that looked at what is going to be the impact of sea level rise on home values, right? And do we already see that impact? And one of the things that he did was he, broke out, he looked at residential, commercial, and just rents, right? So commercial properties. And no matter where I was, liberal or where he, where he did the analysis, liberal or conservative areas, if it was commercial real estate, you saw an impact on property appreciation in areas that were going to suffer from sea level rise. And he was controlling for things like distance to, the water and elevation, except, so you're trying to get it sort of the only variability, in your model. And we're economists, so it's not a machine learning model, right? It generally has, some explainability to its, coefficients that come out of it. It's kind of what we tend to do, what makes us different from the machine modelers. Though there is actually a blending of those now, and I'm very excited about the technology. Maybe we should get together and talk about that. But anyway, no matter where they are, the appreciation on commercial properties was lower if it was in an area that would suffer from future sea level rise, right? Because these are people who are thinking long-term investment perspectives, right? And they're looking at the data and they're figuring it out and they're saying, is my investment going to be safe? In residential areas, it was only in liberal counties that you saw an impact on residential property values. In more conservative places where maybe you don't believe in climate change or you are not surrounded by the information about climate change through the media that you watch or whatever else, you continue to buy just as readily in areas that will be underwater. And to me, that's thought-provoking.
Yeah. Yes, I definitely remember seeing some news like homeowners in Florida, someone like trying to selling their homes, like they don't homes is kind of like something we can leave to our next generation children.
Yeah.
Like they don't want to become as a boat. That's not a great idea.
No, and there are already plenty of places that flood. Miami floods like every king tide. A lot of the streets, are just, they can't. So one of the biggest initiatives recently was the city, everyone passed a levy to pay to get, totally new sewer pumps, everything, because the city is flooding now all the time.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much for your talk. It's very inspiring, and I look forward to see the product and the growth of the company. Yeah.
We'll keep working on it.
Yeah, so let me just share my screen. We got to the third talk. Yeah, so this is from Katinka. She's actually in Italy now, so because there's a big time zone difference, so she recorded her talk in advance, and we'll play this video later. So Katinka is a climate scientist at the Institute of Atmospherical Science and Climate in Turin, Italy. She uses networks of ground and satellite observations, global climate models, statistics, and data science to investigate the mechanisms of large-scale climate variability and change. You can follow her research and outreach activities on her website and on Twitter. So I will first post her information in our chat. Okay, where is the chat? Okay, in our chat. And then I would start to, and also I will post her link in our chat in case the Zoom version doesn't work. So I will just start to play her video. And I go to.
And today I'm going to talk about.
Oh, sorry.
In addition to this exercise, to be sure about a prediction, we sure need to provide also rigorous leveraging.
Let me just start from
today. I'm going to talk about leveraging data science to reduce uncertainty in predictions of future climate change.
How do I go to the view, the full screen view? Okay, this is what I want.
Italy, my name is Katinka, and today I'm going to talk about leveraging data science to reduce uncertainty in predictions of future climate change. I am a climate scientist at the Institute of Atmospheric Sciences and Climate in Turin, Italy, and I obtained a PhD in meteorology and physical oceanography in 2015 from the University of Miami. Today, I'm going to talk about what I'm currently working on, which is the Atlantic Mariano Overturning Circulation, or AMOC. The AMOC is a global-scale ocean circulation that redistributes heat, carbon, and fresh water. The AMOC transports warm water from the equator into the North Atlantic, where thanks to the high concentrations of salt and the cold temperature, it becomes really, really dense and sinks to the bottom of the ocean, where it goes back towards the equator into the southern hemisphere. The AMO slowly circulates around the world, and for the water to sink in the North Atlantic, it takes about 1,000 years to resurface in the Indian and Pacific Oceans.
Oh, wow.
Understanding how the AMO works is at the forefront of climate science research for a very simple reason. Currently, the AMOC in the present climate makes, thanks to its circulation, the entire northern hemisphere about 1 degree warmer than the southern hemisphere. But the AMOC may actually completely shut down like it did during the Earth's history when the entire globe entered into an ice age. And this is relevant still today because observations of the AMOC or observations of variables related to the AMOC show us that in the past 150 years, the AMOC has actually been slowing down. And the reason why it slowed down is because of the increasing emission of greenhouse gases from human activities. This increased emission of greenhouse gases makes the temperature of the Earth warm, which causes the sea ice to melt. And this reduces the salinity, basically the salt content in the North Atlantic, which is the propeller of the AMOC. Projections of future climate change actually show a further decline of the AMOC, but a complete shutdown is deemed unlikely, at least for the next 200 years.